Listen, can I just say this? And like, I don't want people barking at me, okay? Because it needs to be said. College is not something for everyone. We need to stop acting like that is like the be all say all of someone's life and career. It just simply doesn't work like that. Hello, it's Rhea. Wherever you are and whatever time it is, I hope you're enjoying yourself. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about a subject that I feel like is pretty valid right about now, but before I get into that, I'm gonna just go over a couple of things, like a couple little anecdotes or like behind the scenes of this illustration real quick. So I'm sure you noticed by now that I'm doing like the recording, like the screen recording style, as opposed to the usual time-lapse that I do. There's a time-lapse at the end, it's 30 seconds, just to like see it all come together, but yeah, I wanted to try this out and see how it goes. And you guys can let me know what you think about it compared to like the usual time-lapse that I do. This turned out a little bit more majestic than I had expected when I first went into it, because I didn't have any like huge plan for this. In fact, you'll probably see in the thumbnail towards the end, like those 3 very low budget looking sketches, that's all I had in mind. I had an idea, but I wasn't really sure where to go with it, so I am kind of content with how it turned out in regards to like from beginning to end. This is technically unfinished though, because like there's a lot of areas that I need to like clean up for sure. I mostly drew this for the sake of making this video, so I'll probably leave it as is until I feel like I want to make it a print or something. For challenges in this illustration, I'd say that's most likely in doing like the sheer fabric on this character's sleeves, and then sort of illustrating or rendering the clouds. Those are things that I have an idea of how to do theoretically, but like execution-wise, I feel like I lack the experience. That being said, I would love to do some more cloud studies because I seriously love clouds and there's so many ways you can draw them, and every time I like draw or paint them, it just is so calming to me. Like it's a part of my branding for a reason, so. Also, I drew a cloud puppy sitting in the character's lap, and I honestly forgot how to draw dogs, so please understand, it's just looking like this round fluff ball. It's a cloud puppy. I am obsessed with the concept of cloud puppy. I was going to initially have more of them going like around the character, and you can probably see that in like the early process, but I just gave up because there's some other things that I wanted to do as well that I ended up leaving behind in like the final stage, aka like line art and rendering. Mostly because I knew that I wanted to like put this together quickly so I could film the video and then also film the voiceover in time. So a lot of the stuff where I would have probably taken the time to research, I was like, I'll just skip it since this isn't supposed to be like a really elaborate piece or anything like that. So yeah, like other things that kind of fall in that same category was like, I meant to give this character's top like a hoodie or something, but I guess I forgot because I do it in the sketch, right? But then when I go to the line art, I just left, like it just doesn't exist. It just becomes a part of the hair, so. And another thing was I was going to give the character like I think it's called like vitiligo skin, like the skin disease that sort of like causes you to lose melanin in parts of your skin, so it has like those white splotches. I thought that'd be interesting to do, but it's been a while since I've drawn a character like that, so I just left it out. But I did give them freckles as a compromise. They also have a bridge piercing too, but I don't know how well you can like see it. But overall, for something I threw together pretty quickly, I do enjoy how it came out. I think when I was like streaming the other day, I realized how well it goes with like my stream layout. Because, I don't know, it just kind of fits all of my branding in general, so I thought that was really cool. I think for something that I threw together pretty quickly without like any kind of concept, it definitely came out really enjoyable, to the point where I almost want to like go back and maybe even put it on a bigger canvas and like render it out to where it's like a full solid piece ready to be a print. In case anybody would be interested in that, let me know. But anyway, art talkie aside, I'm doing one of those videos again where it's like a podcast almost. I think the last one that I did was around February, talking about like my thoughts as a Black artist. It's like I take a topic that I want to talk about and then we just go on an adventure. Usually I would prefer it to be art related, but I feel like sometimes it's okay if we get a little off course. So that being said, today's topic is about graduation and what comes next. Because, I mean, it's that time of year, right, where a lot of people have either just recently graduated and they're making like that transition from either like high school to college or college to like the rest of life, and I just figured it'd be like a fun thing to like chat about. Also, for reference, I've already graduated both high school and college, and I've been out of school for about a year and a half by now. That doesn't make me like super qualified to be giving like perfect life advice, so please feel free to take this with a grain of salt if you're hesitant. This is all just like my personal opinions and based on my experience, and even that is likely to change, although some of it I'm pretty set on believing, so. That being said, graduation. First, I mostly meant this video to talk about post-graduation for college students, but I mean, we can go over high school as well. When I graduated high school, I was like, wait, what the hell? Because like, while suffering for 4 years felt long in the day-to-day and like the weeks, I suddenly felt thrusted out into the world, like I had to fend for myself against a bunch of bloodthirsty sharks or something. It was like, you have to pick a career path, you have to pick a school, you have to know what you're doing, and you need to figure it out now! So, needless to say, I was terrified. On top of that, I had like immense depression, so imagine trying to figure out the next several years of your life at 17, 18, when you hardly even have the will to get through the next week. I think we should really stop putting that kind of immense pressure on people at like such young ages. I mean, hell, even in early grade school, there's like career dress-up day and like all those, I want to be this when I grow up. And like, don't get me wrong, like it's definitely not horrible to think about the future, but it shouldn't be something that you're forcing somebody to decide on when they haven't even figured out what life is or what they want from it. Like, these are some big freaking questions. So yeah, it's like you graduate high school and you're left with a decision that the world likes to put as go to college/trade school or some kind of program, or become a loser, garbage scum of society. So, listen, can I just say this? And like, I don't want people barking at me, okay? Because it needs to be said. College is not something for everyone. We need to stop acting like that is like the be-all, say-all of someone's life and career. It just simply doesn't work like that. And there's several reasons for this too. First of all, it's expensive. Tell that to my student loans that I'm praying are going to be canceled. Like, when people say to start off at a community college and then finish at a university, they're kinda on to something. Not to mention, there's no need to force yourself through like a super expensive college experience at some prestige university if it's not going to seriously benefit your career. Like, by all means, find a place with a good program and do your research on how the experience is and what you'd get from it, you know, things that kind of like match what you're looking for. But if you don't need to have like super prestige connections or like elite programs from the best of the best, then don't waste your money just because you want to sound cool and fancy whenever you mention your college name. Like, you definitely don't have to jump into a 4-year whenever you don't even know what you want to do. Just get your basics done at like a local community college and vibe. Housing, tuition, all those extra fees and like perks can run you and or your family's bank account into the grave. Of course, a good way to worry about this less is to look into scholarship programs and etc. beforehand. But like, all this 50k, 80k loans, and you're coming out of college with half a leg and an arm missing just from paying while you're there, and then interest kicks in? A moment of silence, please. This is just too much for me. Okay, second, if you don't know what you want to do in life, or with college, then don't jump into a further education immediately. If there's anything I've learned in life, like, it's that there's no specific path to take. Like, people really want to marinate on the tradition of go to school, get a diploma, go to work, find a family to have in between, and then work until you retire and die. And I've never felt like a bigger scam than to believe in that as being like the right way of living. Dude, it's your life, and as far as we know, this could be it. So be a little more honest on what you want and just go for it. Like, it's okay if it doesn't fit in with the standard ideal way of life. I've learned that my definition of the right way of life is simply just doing what I can to make myself happy and learn and grow as a person. That way I can help out others where I can, and then we can just both live in a sense of harmony and happiness. And that could look like many different things, and it might change, but I'm not forcing myself to follow this specific path to the American dream or whatever the hell. Y'all think I care about a career? I want money. I only say that as someone who hasn't really experienced life as someone financially well off. When you have to struggle between buying yourself food when you're genuinely starving and saving it to cover supplies for the semester, it really makes you strive for a sense of financial stability. And that's it. That's what motivates me to get up and go to work in the morning, because I, like many other people, have bills to pay. I said this in my New Year's video that outside of money, a career isn't really something I'm extremely concerned with, because I just feel like there's so much more to life than hustle culture and clawing my way up the ranks. If I didn't have to worry about maintaining a job, I would be spending more time learning about art and all my other interests like music, baking, photography, learning languages, traveling, self-education, Full-time work takes all the time for that up and just replaces it with stress, exhaustion, and sometimes even more work. I realize that not every job has to feel like that, but currently I'm sure I'm not alone in this dilemma of working being the bane of my existence. So until my situation can improve, excuse me for not seeing this as the shining beacon that I've lived all my life for. Basically, there's many different paths in life to take, and there's no rush on taking them. There's also no oh, this is the perfect way and this is the worst way. You can truly do whatever you want. I just ask that it's something that doesn't hurt other people or yourself. It's okay if you need to take a gap year or two, especially if you need to save money in that time to go to college and just work while you figure out what you want to do. If nothing else though, do try to figure out a plan, because just because you're not feeling the typical route laid in front of you doesn't mean you can do nothing. Life can seem slow in the day-to-day, but each day adds up to months and years, and you have to be cognizant of your life and the outcome that you want from it, even if you're not sure. Otherwise, time just goes by, and then it's if it isn't the consequences of my actions, and then those consequences get bigger as time goes on with you doing nothing, so feel free to have those talks with someone you trust, or a counselor or therapist. My biggest wish is for organizations and institutions to make this big realization easier by providing thorough resources on the options there are out there, and seeing through each and every person's needs on the steps that they should take to get to where they want to be. This doesn't have to be this giant, terrifying experience. Okay, we need to come together and have some kind of solidarity and reassurance on the future. Lastly, if you do want to go to college, think about what you want to get out of it. That's something one of my professors told me, and at the time I was huh? What do you mean? I'm doing the thing. But as simple as it sounds, it really didn't hit me until afterwards. What do you want to do? It's when shonen protagonists in anime are ready to chase their dreams or fight the bad guys or whatever, and there's always that one person that's so, but why are you here? Why did you choose this route in life? You could have done other things. You could have been somewhere else. This matters because your reasoning may reveal something. This goes for many things, but whenever you have a set goal, you know how to, you can come up with a strategy to approach it. It's okay, I know what I'm up against, so I can prepare now. I have a plan that I can draft to take on this new big thing. So if you go into college knowing what you want to get out of it, then you can form a way to achieve that, as opposed to just going in and being well, I kind of know what I want to get out of it, but I don't really know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It helps to have that sense of power. It helps to have that sense of knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, yes. But, take me for example. Aside from the overall parental pressure of me going to college, it was I felt like I had to go if I wanted to have a perfect chance at getting a job in a creative field. And now I'm kind of scratching my head, because when I was on a job search, all I saw was that they wanted to have 2 years of work experience from a designer rather than needing to have a diploma. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure it definitely helps to see that I graduated with a bachelor's, but I felt scammed and cheated because I genuinely thought that, like, that would be good enough to find an entry-level job. I know it might depend on a lot of stuff, and I was also super unlucky to be part of the 2020 grad squad, but the fact that they just wanted to see if I did any previous work as a designer, like while I'm just coming out of school from a pandemic, it just felt very paralyzing. I couldn't find any internships in my area around that time, and even if I did, I didn't have the means of transportation to easily get from place to place. Not to mention, on top of that, all the internships were unpaid. It's like, what do I look like as a college student paying massive expenses through my part-time job that it's like I'm taking on another dedication of my time to an internship that isn't paid? Like, that's genuinely insane. I would actually go crazy. So if I had prioritized more of my time on reaching out to design communities and working on small personal projects to build a pretty steady portfolio, I would have probably had a more steady experience in finding a job afterwards. Now, I don't want to say I know this for sure, but I do know many other creative jobs in art and design and etc., and like a lot of successful people in these industries say that college isn't extremely necessary. I'm not bringing this up to discourage anybody who wants to go. I definitely think there's things to be gained from going. I'm just saying this because I feel like the importance and criteria for a job in the creative industry is more around like experience and portfolio and connections. Like, who's trying to ask for your GPA when you have like a phenomenal demonstration of your skills and how well they align with the job that you're applying for? Not to mention if you have like letters of recommendations from like super credible people. It's just like, I don't know, a part of me just kind of thinks like whenever I have people younger than me asking about like, oh my gosh, should I go to college? Like, I don't know, but I want to like take these art jobs in the future, so it might be like super necessary. And like in my head, I'm like, I kind of isn't, And another thing is we're kind of in a new age too, like we're shifting things. There's a ton of resources out there that do not equate to the same heavy amount of money that college does. There's so many online resources out there that you can just start learning on your own. If you know how to self-manage projects and things like that on your own too, that's also really helpful. And if not, then there's organizations for that. There's mentorships for that. There's so many other options out there these days. And that's why I'm kind of like hesitant to be like, oh yeah, you have to go to college if you want to secure, And like I said, there's a lot of successful people out there that actually haven't gone, but they still have the exact same experience and worth as like a competitor in the industry. So hey, I don't know, just give it some thought, I guess. The point is, know what you want from college and know how to navigate college to get it. If you're going for law or med school, then yeah, okay, you maybe will have to have those intense weeks of cramming to maintain like super top-notch grades. For me, it's like, looking back, I wish I had reached out to people more and built up some solid connections. I'm really introverted, so as soon as I finish my classes, I'd be like, alright, cool, and I just dip and like mind my business. But try not to be so much like that and talk to people and get more involved if you can. As much as I hate it, networking is a really important skill and it can seriously help you with jobs later on, or just like really good opportunities in general. I also felt like my program could have been a lot better in preparing us for what the industry wants from us. It was a hard situation because like I didn't have anybody to talk about it with. I tried reaching out to my professors a bit and I didn't feel that enlightened from what they had to say, like what little they had to say. And no one in my family went for a career in the arts, so it's not like they would really understand how to approach that. And all my peers were also drowning in the overwhelming college experience themselves. I cannot stress enough how important good resources are, especially if you can talk with people who are in the position that you want to be after graduation. On like a real level too, and not just some like spokesperson, oh here's like this guest star like bullshit, you know what I mean? Like someone who's gonna tell it how it is. It's good to have that, and also it's good to talk to multiple people because they might have different perspectives on topics that you're interested in, and that's really valuable. If nothing else, if you're in the same boat that I am, or like I was back then do personal research on your field and like study for the things that you feel like will help you prepare. That's always a good thing. Even if it's just like half an hour on the weekend or something, looking into that stuff on your own and taking that initiative, it can really take you a long way. So like make connections, get involved, always try to look for every resource you can to help prepare you. I think like there was just so many opportunities that I could have really went for, but I was like too shy, or I was like, I don't know if that's really, like I didn't want to put myself out there that much. But it's like entering art competitions or like small things here and there, it just kind of helps you as a person. And it's like, I know it can seem scary to like reach out to an organization or reach out to like a program or someone for mentorship. It's like, I think regardless, they're going to appreciate you taking that initiative and they're going to see potential in you. It's just a really amazing thing to do, and doing that kind of stuff helps build a sense of confidence in yourself as well. So it's like, honestly, what have you got to lose? Like, the worst they can do is say no, and regardless, you're gonna keep going anyway, because that's how it is. How are we holding up? Sounds like a lot? Yeah, and college certainly can be a lot. That being said, it's okay to take a break. You can honestly stop at any time, and that doesn't make you a failure or anything like that. One of the cool things is, like, there's people of all ages in all situations going to these college courses. Some people started later, some people started earlier, but took a break and then they came back. Some people never go back and they make it out fine. Like, once again, this is not the say-all be-all of your life. It doesn't have to be the defining moment. You know, there's no rush on, like, running in there and trying to do something. Life is not a marathon. Just do what you have to do, you know? I think college can be an intense experience, and there's a lot to be said about how mental health plays a part in this as well. My last semester felt like hell on earth because despite being in a literal pandemic, it felt like there was so much still asked of me whenever most of the classes weren't even that enlightening. Like, I had a portfolio class and it felt so low effort that I can't even tell you what I feel like I learned from it. A lot of classes felt like just watching YouTube tutorials, and yes, I realized it was a situation where nobody expected it, and so professors were probably trying their best to prepare, but one, I had some of them where it was like, they weren't really considerate of what I was having to go through. And two, it's like, if the quality of the class is going to diminish, then so should the price. Like, why am I paying thousands of dollars when 75% of this class is me teaching myself the material? Like, the pandemic definitely put a giant dent in the education experience for me, but alas, I clawed my way out. So if you ever feel like school is draining, like, absolutely everything out of you to a severe point, then it's okay to stop. Once again, you can do anything in life. You can take any path, and you have your whole lifetime to figure it out. What's important is that you're not in a severe state of depression or anxiety or anything else that makes your everyday miserable. It's your life, so take time to put your needs first. And yes, I do fully understand it's not always easy, depending on like your family situation or like your finances, but if there's like even a sliver of room for you to negotiate your needs, then fight for it, because like it's what you deserve. I also feel like what else goes into this is like us not making such a big deal out of like college dropouts, or like definitely not guilt tripping them or things like that. Like, you guys probably aren't that type of people, but I know like for older generations, I hate how it's like, oh my god, they went and then they stopped. There'll never be anything ever in their life. And it's like, you don't have the right to determine someone's like potential just because of like if they finished college or not. Like, you really can do so much more outside of that. And I just think it's such a shame. So if you're watching this and you did go through that experience, then just know that you're valid. You're valid and loved. School is not everything, for sure. Just live your best life and keep going. If nothing else, just remember that whatever happens, it'll most likely be alright in the end. Life will often not make sense or be super confusing or difficult, and that's really just how it is. I think the funniest part is people acting like you're supposed to figure your whole life out by 18 or something. Dude, you don't even fully figure out your life in your 20s. Like, we're literally making this shit up. I cannot stress that enough. The amount of moments where I'm either like, okay, what am I doing right now? Who am I and what is this? Or literally, how do I get out of this? I'm so incredibly stressed that my life feels like a never-ending storm that I'm fighting for my life in, and yet somehow I make it through. It's truly amazing. Like, it's not easy, but we make it through. You know when you finish like a series or a book or show and like the ending isn't fully happy sunshine and rainbows, but things still feel like, okay, but we made it, so yeet. Sometimes that's how it is. So if there's anything I could say, it's to keep going, and I promise it'll somehow be okay in the end. There might be some serious shit going down, but hopefully there will be bright days where you can smile again, or laugh more, or be at ease and content with life. Definitely make sure to reach out to a therapist if possible, talk with your friends or family, or find healthy resources to cope with like the weight that comes with living. Try to find even the small things, like if it's taking time for yourself to watch your favorite movie or show, if it's indulging in your hobbies, or if it's going out somewhere nice, like a park, a cafe, and just listening to music while working on something or like writing thoughts or emotions down. Do whatever you need to keep yourself looking forward to the nicer days, because the ability to keep going is more powerful than people realize. Okay, I feel like I've talked up a whole storm, and I can only hope that at least some of it made sense. All in all, just do what you want while not hurting others or yourself. One day we're going to cease to exist as the universe continues to go on with the memories everybody made eventually fading out, so on that note, live your life. Since I have a little less than 5 minutes left, I'm going to go over some really basic and common things people like mention or ask related to school and graduation. So, first of all, can we stop asking each other, like, what's next when we graduate? Girl, mind your business. Like, we're just trying to survive right now. Have you seen the inflation happening? No, but for real, like, I know it's mostly relatives and stuff, and I always find it so irritating in a way, because that's all people ever ask. How's school? Every time there's a family gathering, and then when you finally graduate, it's like, okay, so what's next? Like, can I just say I hate the familial culture where relatives just want to know what you're doing career-wise, and then afterwards they immediately go back to talking with the other adults. Like, it's probably the only way they can try to hold a conversation with me as a youth, but please, I'd literally rather have you ask me what I think about the McChicken at McDonald's. Have I ever had one? No, but there's still greater potential in that conversation than there is in me explaining what the hell I plan on doing in my life after graduating when I'm still processing the fact that I somehow made it out alive. Here's a crazy concept. What's next is life. I live and I do things. Realistically, getting a full-time job and crying every day in the break room. What are you expecting me to tell you, that I like plan on sailing halfway around the world like I'm Nishinoya or something? I'm not that cool. As BTS said in their B album, and as Matendo says in Tomoshibi, life goes on, because it does, and eventually things kind of fall into place. Also, I just made 3 anime references. I am literally a nerd. Okay. Next. How do I make friends in college? Talk. You literally talk. This upcoming generation scares me, because based on Twitter and TikTok posts and interactions, I'm afraid some of y'all literally don't know how to talk to people. Like, the social interaction in life recently has been so deprived that suddenly y'all are gonna have a classmate say hi to you, and then in your head you're gonna be like, oops, oomphy, kinda sus. Like, y'all, trust me, okay? I'm introverted as hell. And on top of that, I'm just super shy, and yet somehow I have still managed. Of course, like, the more I got into, like, my concentrated courses, more focused around art, that definitely helped me come out of my shell, so that might help you too. A lot of times the professors will make you do, like, those cringy icebreakers or self-intros to the class anyways, so... And also, a moment of silence for all those inevitable group projects you're gonna get thrown in. If you see someone you might like to befriend, then just maybe find something of theirs to compliment and then go from there. Something as simple as, oh my gosh, you play Genshin too? Or, wow, I didn't know you liked that group, so do I. It's like, it's always a chill invitation to get to know each other. Of course, some of y'all on the receiving end just become judgmental and elitist towards these vulnerable souls trying to make friends, and that's ugly behavior. Yes, I'm talking about the ones who say or think, ew, that's cringe, to like everything. Like, you're a human being just like everyone else. Don't think you're special in your interests to where you can't talk to friendly or inviting people. It's unnecessary and it's a gross trait to have. I promise nobody worthwhile will want to be around you with that kind of attitude. Anyways, if nothing else, everyone starts befriending and getting to know each other to some degree whenever exams roll around, because at that point you have a common enemy to face, and the average college student who didn't study enough in time is more likely to survive in a pack of people. So props to you if you're able to survive alone, but it'll probably trip you up eventually. All in all, it's just fun to have friends in class. Like, it makes lectures more fun, and anyway, don't you want to have like those cute slice of life anime moments with like your new friend squad? Exactly, so please practice basic social skills if you haven't picked them up already. Things like basic listening, communication, being considerate and respectful, like I feel like they're fading these days, so please help restore some of that hope with me. It'll help you so much outside of school too, like we're social beings by nature, so you just gotta learn how to play the game eventually. Lastly, I'm gonna just quickly yell out some basic tips and shitposts, so if y'all can find some free resources, go for it. Download those book PDFs, I'm so dead ass, like save whatever money you can, even if it means getting cracked versions of programs. Like I said, this inflation go crazy. Feel free to also like use apps like Rate My Professor if you feel like it'll help. I didn't really use those for the most part, but I didn't have too many issues with the professors I had, but it's always good to see that kind of stuff in advance. Utilize the hell out of those perks that come with your tuition and fees, like all those services to help you with things like therapy or job counseling. Take it now because you're paying for it anyway with your tuition, and afterwards it's expensive as hell when you're on your own, so. Another thing, register for your classes early, have a game plan ready as soon as registration opens, okay? Don't be like me, who kept waiting out of procrastination, and then ends up taking some random ass classes on Shakespeare or like microeconomics for elective requirements when you could have had something cool and interesting. Don't get me wrong, I thought Richard III and King Lear was interesting to read, but like, good lord, if I ever have to see a supply and demand graph in my life again. This isn't really a tip, but college should undeniably be better than high school because you get to decide your schedule for the most part and you can pull up looking however you want. That being said, the new responsibilities you have to take on as you become an adult can be quite the wake-up call, so heads up. Find a good balance between having fun and using your time wisely. For me, I wish I spent more time figuring out art and improving and trying out content creation earlier instead of all that time I spent playing League of Legends. But hey, sometimes you just gotta vibe, it is what it is. Get those primo gems. If you haven't by now, definitely pick up those bare necessities of like living, like learn how to cook, clean things, all that kind of stuff, probably car stuff too. All the things that you can rely on yourself on because you just never know what's gonna go down. Comment down below, what's your favorite college student struggle meal? Mine is eggs and rice, except that's a valid meal for a lot of people because it like slaps, like it's every time, it's such a bop. I love eggs and rice. I never went to college parties or dealt with sorority stuff, especially since I was able to live at home while going, so I mean it's hard for me to say much about that, but just make sure whatever happens that you're safe and cautious of your surroundings, never do anything that you don't have to or want to, and always have a friend with you or two in those situations. Sometimes I wonder if I missed out, but like considering I would probably commit either close to murder or arson if someone ever threw up on me or my belongings, I think I'm okay. Same with roommates, like I can't relate, but I've heard some horror stories, so I just hope, you know, you guys survive it okay. If nothing else, maybe set some boundaries or something. You know, we love a compromise. All-nighters are inevitable, like sure you can probably just study in advance and take care of your projects each day at a reasonable pace to avoid that, but I'll let you decide which one of those you are. It's totally fine to change your major and it happens all the time. I literally started out with computer science because I wanted to do digital art, so I mean like hey. And lastly, be on the lookout for those internships and other opportunities. If you can find a job in the field of study you want where you can like just go and be a temporary assistant or something, then go for it. Okay, that was a lot. I hope this was a somewhat helpful video for those of you curious or anxious about college or starting college or even leaving college. It's really just another stage in life. It feels intense at first, but honestly, days go by and you realize that everything is more or less the same with whatever you're doing. What matters is how you make your life suit your needs and wants, and that if you were to pass on at any moment, you've done all you could up until then to be content with how things are. I definitely don't think I covered everything in this video, but I hope to some extent there was something positive you gained from this, whether if it was relaxation, amusement, reassurance, or solidarity. We're all just trying to survive, so let's just keep going and do our best together. Another video I thought of doing eventually was one talking about being a full-time worker and still pursuing art in hopes of maintaining life as like an independent artist someday, but I still have a lot to collect my thoughts on first, so we'll see how it goes. Until then, I wish you all the best on whatever endeavors you may be taking on in life right now, and I believe you'll get through them alright. Also, happy graduation to everybody who graduated. Just like last time, I'd like to open up the conversation to you guys in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, stories, feelings about college or anything like that. I'm interested, but that's all I got. So thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed your time today, please feel free to leave a like. If you're interested to see more of my content, you can always check out my other videos and subscribe. For reference, if you're new, I am Rhea or Etheria, and I like making art and art-related content on my channel. I do try to post weekly videos, but if you'd like more timely updates, you can always catch me on my other social media links in the description and also at the end of the video, specifically Twitch and Twitter. But, I mean, who knows where I'll be. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a nice rest of your day, time zone, and or week. Take care.